It finally happened. I wasn't planning on making this video tonight. I wasn't planning on making a video tomorrow. I don't think I was even planning on making a video at all this weekend or through the week next week. This wasn't on the agenda. I wasn't listening to the Pogues. I wasn't listening to Shane. I was on a totally different tip this week. But it finally happened. Shane died. He's gone. And let's face it, it's a miracle this fucker was still with us in the first place, but he's dead. And I'm going to do my best to celebrate his life with this video. I've already celebrated his life, as you know. I've done, how many Pogues videos have I done this year? I did Rum Sodomy and the Lash. I did If I Should Fall from Grace with God. I did Hell's Ditch. I did Shane's Snake album. I think I've done four Shane slash Pogues videos this year. So I'll link to those if you're just stumbling onto this channel because you heard Shane was dead and you're trolling for Shane news and you stumble across this. I hope you go back, check out my channel and look at my other Pogues and Shane videos, and I'll link to those. But yeah, I had a great start to the morning. I felt great. I still feel good. But when I heard Shane died, it hit me, It's I'm at that age now where my musical heroes are dying off, man. Like Prince died. When did Prince die? 2015? Andy Weatherall died 3 years ago. Now Shane goes, You guys, I don't know, you guys around my generation, you Gen Xers out there, and even you millennials, you understand this. When people like Prince and Shane and Andy Weatherall die, if you like that kind of spirit of music, not just sound, but the spirit of a certain type of music, people like Shane MacGowan and Andy Weatherall, they were your champions. They represent a hell of a lot to us. And honestly, other than Andy Weatherall, I think this death of Shane is hit me harder than anybody. I'm still processing it, obviously. So maybe this is a good time to do the video. Maybe it's not a good time. I don't know. But when I heard that he died this morning, it definitely bummed me out. I felt like the wind got taken out of me, honestly. I had a really good start to the day, and then I heard that he died, and I had to sit down. I was like, oh. My initial thought was it's a fucking miracle he was still alive to begin with. Um, but in the true Irish tradition, we shouldn't be sitting around being sad about this. We should be having a drink or maybe 10 drinks tonight, celebrating his life and telling stories because that's what you do with a traditional Irish wake, don't you? And I know Shane wasn't just Irish, but that's how we generally think of this band, and that's what we should be doing tonight and through the weekend, I think. We should be getting shit faced and trading our favorite Shane stories. And so this is my way of doing it, and I hope you guys come here to my channel to talk about Shane because what can you say about the guy? He's one of the greatest songwriters that has ever existed on this earth. And I don't think that's overstatement. I think Shane is one of the great songwriters that we have ever had in our history of any type of music. And I've already said that in my past Pogues videos and my Shane video. So join me as I talk about what I think is the most underrated Pogues album. And I haven't talked about this. Peace and Love. And that's what we should be experiencing in the wake of Shane's death. Peace and love. Never more so than tonight, the night of the death of Shane MacGowan, one of our great songwriters. Pull that out of the sleeve there so you can get a better glance at it. This is the US edition. I still have it shrink wrap. I got this when I was a DJ. I have some promo material with this, so that'll be fun to show. Hopefully you guys appreciate seeing that. It's not really a version you see. It's not a common version. This is their most underrated album, I think. In fact, behind If I Should Fall from Grace with God, I think this is their best album. And I know a lot of Pogues fans will disagree with that. But I think Steve Lillywhite's Pogues albums are their best. Steve Lillywhite just brought something out of these guys. And in a lot of ways, I feel like Peace and Love is their most communal effort. You see a lot of the other members on this album writing songs and performing and singing, maybe more than any other Pogues album. I mean, Hell's Ditch has had some other songwriters, Terry Woods and Spider Stacy all contributed there, Jem Finer, but they all contribute here and really in a brilliant way. And I'll go through that. Peace and Love. I think this is their most underrated album and their best, besides If I Should Fall from Grace. This came out in 1989, and yeah, this is the U.S. edition. You get Spider here, you get Terry Woods, Andrew the Clobberer Rankin. There's dear beloved deceased Shane. There's Jem Finer. There's James Fearnley, Jaime Fearnley, Philip Chevron, a great songwriter in his own right, and Daryl Hunt, the bassist. There they are. Their peak. I think the late 80s. Peak Pogues, right here. When you could still understand Shane. Remember those days? Yeah. This is pretty much the last album where you could, fully understand what Shane was singing about. I mean, you can understand him on Hell's Ditch, but it's more challenging, right? It's not easy to get through. I don't mean get through. The songs are brilliant, but just to understand and get through his singing, because it's hard to understand what he was saying. I personally don't care. It's all about the mood and the delivery, and Shane never lost that. But to me, this is their most underrated. I think this is a beautiful, dangerously perfect album. And this gets knocked by even Pogues fans, but I don't think it should be. I think that's irresponsible. This is a fucking brilliant album. Peace and Love. And you should definitely be listening to this tonight, I think. And I will be, for sure. In fact, I'll probably be slapping this on the old turntable as soon as I'm done with this video. Yeah, this is the US edition. Let me pull out all the stuff that came with this. You know what? Actually, let me go through the tracks first. I will show the record itself. Um, the one thing that kind of sucked about these US editions is you got this paper inner sleeve. I bought the reissue of this, and it had a printed inner sleeve, and I think if you were in Europe, you got the printed inner sleeve with the lyrics. But here in the US, they weren't making vinyl anymore. They were kind of phasing that out. And so sometimes when you bought certain records here in the States, you got those cheap ass paper inners instead of the printed inners with the lyrics. Here's the labels, as you can see, classic island record style. But the promo material I got for this more than compensates for the lack of printed inner sleeve, which is still a bummer. But I did get it with that reissue, so there's that. So here, this is the kind of stuff you'd get with a promo copy of an album. You'd get all this stuff, these little packets of information, and sometimes you get posters, and sometimes you get stickers, and sometimes you'd even get bonus records, 12 inches and stuff. This just came with a bunch of like printed material. I'm not going to read it all, but it's a lot. Like a lot of stuff came with this. Like this says right here, what the critics say about the Pogues. Where they were once renowned for their thrashings of traditional folk songs, the Pogues have now matured to the point where they can offer strong original material and impressive musical performances with the same old edge. The Washington Post. That's pretty accurate. This is what Jazziz said. They couldn't pull any of this off if they weren't superb musicians. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we got a couple of pages. This is what Spin magazine said. Spin. Never been a fan of theirs, but this is what they said. This is white boy funk music. Sounds like something Spin would say, right? The stuff our ancestors created when they were as oppressed as blacks are now. It's got guts and soul and will make poor people dance until 4 a.m., even if they have to be at work at 7 a.m. All right. That sounds like something Spin magazine would say, kind of stupid. But anyway, 2 pages of glowing reviews for Peace and Love. Then you get this. You get a number of... This is on glossy paper, too. So it's kind of a cool release. You get a lot of promotional stuff for Peace and Love. Let's see. Peace and Love, produced as was their 1988 LP "If I Should Fall from Grace with God" by Steve Lillywhite, is the Pogues' fourth album. It's, it's also the London-based octet's most ambitious undertaking to date. I'd agree with that, as its broad palette of divergent yet complementary styles attests. From the big band jazz of Gridlock to the tongue-in-cheek calypso of Blue Heaven to the lifting balladry of Misty Morning Albert Bridge to the rough-hewn melodic workouts of Down All the Days and Cotton Fields to the subtle grandeur of Lorelei to the traditional folk idioms of Garloni Rats and Boat Train, Peace and Love demonstrates once again that the Pogues are an extraordinary band indeed. Anyway, there you go. And it goes on. More bio and stuff like that. I'm not going to read it for you. More stuff. Rolling Stone article. Looks like they had printed that out. This is what promo press packs would do. They print out a lot of newspaper articles. Here's a review of "I Should Fall from Grace with God" from Rolling Stone. They gave that 3.5 stars out of 5. Fuck them. That's a 5-star album. That's all there is to it. Here's a New York Times review of if I Should Fall from Grace with God. So these press packs would kind of gather up news articles they could find and then create their own original stuff, original type, and hype up the record. So anyway, it's kind of cool. You don't see this very often. A press package, a promo item from the Pogues for Peace and Love. And because this is one of my favorite albums and my second favorite Pogues album, I cherish this, and I always will. Love this. I got multiple copies of this too. I was digging through my storage today as I was pulling this out, and I have 3 copies of this. That's what they did with promo stuff too. They'd send you multiple copies. Like if you DJ'd at more than one club in town, they'd send you a record for each club so you could keep one at each club. It's kind of cool. So that was one of the bonuses of being a DJ. You just got a lot of shit. So let's go through the song listing, shall we? Gridlock. I believe that's an Andrew Rankin track, right? That's all instrumental. And am I wrong about that being Andrew Rankin? Let me look at the label. Maybe. Gridlock. Let's see. Rankin and Finer. Rankin and Finer did that together. So there you go. I was close. I remember Rankin. Rankin didn't write songs very often. So the fact that he was on a song at all as a songwriter is pretty cool. Awesome song. Great way to start this off. Instrumental. No Shane at all on that one. Just kind of like a punk jazz track. Only these guys could do. Great instrumentation. This is an awesome band. And they kept it together, and that was a great start to the album. White City, one of my all-time favorite Pogues songs. That is a Shane song, and there's a single for that I'll get to in a minute. White City, beautiful track. Just one of their best. Classic Shane pop song, White City. And a song dedicated to the thrill of gambling. He did that many times, and I'll get to that in a minute when I talk about the single. Young Ned of the Hill, a Terry Woods song. I think, right? I don't know. You guys will correct me if I'm wrong, but I know my Pogue shit, okay? Now, I might screw something up once in a while, but I'm pretty sure that's a Terry Woods song. Brilliant song. Young Ned of the Hill. We're getting that vibe that this is a real band. You know, the first track is a Finer Rankin track. Then we go to Shane. Now we're going to Terry Woods. That's a good thing, okay? Don't knock this album because it's a band. There's more to this band than just Shane MacGowan. We're celebrating Shane today, that's true. But this is a band, all right? Great start to the album. Young Ned of the Hill is a brilliant track. Misty Morning Albert Bridge, a Jem Finer song, and another single, and I'll get to that. Beautiful song. One of their best ballads, arguably their best. Right up there with Fairy Tale of New York, if you ask me. A Jem Finer track, awesome song. Very fine indeed. Cotton Fields, a Shane song, beautiful song. And that reminds me, I can't remember where I read this, but Shane had the idea that he wanted Peace and Love to be like an acid house album. He wanted it to be more in that acid house vein. He got into the rave acid house scene, as most people did, and he wanted to make like a dance Pogues album. Obviously that didn't happen, But Cotton Fields was one of those tracks where I read this somewhere or heard it somewhere that that's the one song that kind of stuck to the album. Like he wanted to do like a more full-on dance version of Cotton Fields, but it ended up being what it was here. It is a pretty dancey song in terms of the Pogues. It's not electronic in any way, but it always made me wonder what the Pogues would have sounded like had they tried a more electronic approach. That's not who they were. That was the way Shane wanted to go. Blue Heaven, that's a Philip Chevron song, am I right? I'm not gonna look it up. You guys always correct me when I'm wrong, so you guys will do it undoubtedly here. But I think that's a Philip Chevron song. Great songwriter. Down All the Days. One of my favorite Pogue songs. If I had to pick my top three Pogue songs, Down All the Days would be in there. I love Down All the Days. There's never a bad moment to listen to that track. Obviously about Christy Brown, if you didn't know that. Go watch My Left Foot. Also, if you want to understand who Christy Brown was, if you've never seen My Left Foot, it is a brilliant movie starring one of the most brilliant actors we've ever seen in our lives, Daniel Day-Lewis, about a real man with a real affliction who led a real life. He was a real man, this guy. And Shane wrote a song about him, Down All the Days. Christy Brown. Brilliant song and a brilliant movie. Check all of that out if you haven't. USA, another Shane song. Lots of, again, that would have been a good acid house track if they had gone that direction. You can kind of hear the influence with that one. Lorelei, which I believe is oh God, is that a Phil Chevron song? Fuck it, I'm gonna look. I can't resist. Let me pull this out. As promo material flies everywhere. Actually, wait a minute. Let me look at this. Philip Chevron. See how good I am? I know. Listen. I know what I'm talking about. All right. Don't even question my Pogues knowledge. And as I say that, I'll now get something wrong. Famous last words. I know. Gartloni Rats. That's a Terry Woods track, right? Isn't that a Terry Woods jam? Gartloni Rats? Terry Woods, talk to me. Terry Woods. All right. I'm not looking these up ahead of time, by the way. This is all from memory, all right? Okay, so the next track is Gartloni Rats is a very fun song, too. Very cool. Nice energy on that one. Boat Train. Is that Shane? That is a Shane song. Okay. So far, so good. If I get one of these wrong, don't be surprised. But I'm so far it's 100%. Oh, and Boat Train is super fun too. I mean, it's a great segue from Gartloni Rats. Just I don't know, music you would hear in a pub. Honestly, like this is a great pub album. Obviously, the Pogues are the Pogues. They're a great pub band. This arguably might be their best pub album ever. Tombstone. That's Terry Woods, right? Isn't that Terry Woods? Oh, it's Jem Finer. Damn it. All right. See, I knew I'd fuck one of them up. I knew it. All right. It's Jem Finer. All right. I screwed one up. Night Train to Lorca. Is that Terry Woods? Night Train to Lorca. Jem Finer again. Okay. I missed two. What do you want from me? And London, You're a Lady. I know that's Shane. That's Shane. It's Shane, right? Yes, that's Shane. So, as you can see, a lot of these tracks, in fact, more than any other Pogues album up to this point, were not Shane songs. But does the album suffer for it? Not at all. I will say, tracks like London, You're a Lady, I mean, you hear the difference. The Shane songs, there's a huge difference in quality. You can't deny it. And London, You're a Lady is one of the great Pogue songs. It's one of their ballads. It's one of Shane's best songs. It's a beautiful way to end this album and a beautiful way to just end one of the most beautiful albums in general. Peace and Love. My favorite song on here, God, yeah, Down All the Days. It's just such a powerful, when you realize it's a song about a person and it's so written so powerfully and the melody is so great and Shane's voice is kind of different on it. It's produced with perfection, just a beautiful track. And White City is way up there too. In fact, let's talk about that, shall we? White City. Now, there were two versions of this 12-inch, interestingly enough, and I'll talk about that. Can you see the difference in color here? This one's more sepia, I guess, and this one's more kind of, I don't know, psychedelic maybe? You also get a hype sticker here. But there were two versions of White City that came out, and they have different B-sides. And that's important when we're talking about the Pogues because their B-sides are amazing. This one has the B-sides are Every Man is a King and Star of the County Down, which are fabulous B-sides. And then the B-sides here is our live version of Maggie May and Every Man is a King again. So they got kind of lazy with the B-sides. They put Every Man is a King on both, and then they put one different one on each to entice people to buy these. But if you're a Pogues freak like me, you get both versions because you want all the B-sides. Their B-sides are every bit as good as their album tracks, and they always were, and that's part of why we love the Pogues. Another cool thing about this limited edition here, as you can see, it's got a sticker sheet with it, and I'm going to show you that. And I have never taken my stickers off because, as you know, I like to keep my stuff intact. Stickers, Pogue stickers. Here they are. How cool is that? You get to show the level of your fandom by getting stickers and plastering them all over your car, unless you're me and you keep your stickers intact. And yeah, that's just a cool little bonus you got with White City. By the way, if you get White City 12-inch, which I highly recommend you do somehow if you can, the version that you get of White City on both of these 12 inches is slightly different. It is a 12-inch version. It's the same. If you're not listening closely, you'd think this is a different version. You'd think this is the same version as the album, but it's not. I urge you to go watch the video. The video has this version. There's like this little vocal chorus in the background that you don't hear on the album version. It's basically the band is kind of humming the melody. You can hear them going, you hear them in the background. You don't hear that on the album version. This is a slightly different version. I prefer this version, actually, the 12-inch version. There's this, yeah, you hear this like little vocal hum in the background to the melody. It's really cool. It makes the song much more compelling, if you ask me. And you're only going to find that here on the 12-inch. Or the CD. I think this came out on CD single at the time. It's probably on the CD as well, but I don't have those, so I can't attest to that. But White City, a brilliant song about the glories of gambling. Just like Bottle of Smoke before it on the If I Should Fall from Grace album, which was also an ode to gambling, so is White City. This is Shane in degenerate gambling mode, and who doesn't like to be a degenerate gambler every now and then? I know I like it. If you're a gambler, you love this song. If you're not a gambler, you still love this song. And if you don't, then I don't understand you and don't want to know you. Great, great song. This is the other single they released from Peace and Love, Misty Morning, Albert Bridge. This came with a print, or at least it was supposed to, but it never came with mine. I remember buying this at the time. I still have my shrink wrap on it. I opened it up and there's no print. Oh well, what are you going to do? That sucks. I got robbed, but that's okay because it comes with the B-sides and that's all I really wanted anyway. Here are the labels. I don't think I showed you the White City labels, did I? Maybe I'll do that, maybe I won't. Misty Morning, Albert Bridge, the version you get on here is the exact same version as the album. The B-sides on here are Cotton Fields and Young Ned of the Hill, the dub version, which I highly recommend you get. The dub version kind of, I thought, was a small window into that Acid House album that they were dabbling with. It's a very cool version. It sounds like a dub version of Young Ned of the Hill. Cotton Fields is the other B side. You get that on the album. So anyway, not a lot of extra stuff to sink your teeth into here, but you do get that dub version of Young Ned of the Hill. And it's a lovely 12-inch. It would have been nice to get the print, but I don't know, mine didn't come with it. What are you gonna do? So that's my peace and love video. That is my Shane video. I would feel remiss if I didn't recognize this man who, again, is one of the most brilliant minds in music that we've ever seen. And sure, he's dead now, but yeah, his music will live on forever. And this is just one of my all-time favorite bands, and I think I've proven that already with my channel. Over the last year, I've made several Pogues videos and Shane videos, and I think I've made it more than crystal clear what this man means to me. And yeah, the world definitely feels like a more empty place now without him. It's weird how you can be going about your day and having a great day, and then someone that you really really have deep respect for is no longer in this world that you're drawing air from. It's like I felt like someone kicked me in the gut this morning. Shane's not with us anymore. It's a major major bummer. But I love this man. I'm not going to sit around and be depressed about this. I'm going to have some drinks tonight, and I'm going to celebrate this man. I'm going to listen to the Pogues. And I think you should too. And I would love for you guys to share your stories about the Pogues and Shane. I've got plenty of stories. I've seen the Pogues live. I saw Shane live when he was with the Popes. I've already talked about that in previous videos. But feel free to share any Pogues Shane stories you have, because this is a man to be cherished and celebrated for the rest of our lives. He's dead, but he'll always live on. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.